Hey everyone, Adam Small here again from MyMusicMasterclass, and today we have another product review for you, and this is a portable MIDI keyboard. Donner sent us their DMK25 Pro, which is a 25 mini key controller. It's USB-C powered, it has 8 drum pads, an OLED display, touch bars, sliders, and more. And today we're going to see what this thing's all about. Donner did send us this keyboard in exchange for this video review, but they didn't tell us to say anything specific or coach us in any way. So we're going to be unbiased as always, and every review on this channel is unbiased. So let's get to it. So I'm sitting at my desk for this review. I've got a couple different camera angles, and I might do some screen grab later. And as you can see, this thing is small. This is the size of my hand, and this is the size of the keyboard. So yeah, this thing is really small. It's also really thin. Let me show you if you can see from here. See, I don't know if it's focusing on this, but this thing is very thin. It's very low profile. Now this could be beneficial if you're using this thing with a laptop on the go. Let's say you're on a plane and you want to work on some tracks, or if you're producing stuff, I don't know, anywhere, or if you just want to travel. Or if you have a desk and you just don't want to take up a lot of space with a small controller, which is the case in my scenario. You see, I also use the Donner DDP100, which is right there, and it's a fully weighted 88 key, piano action keyboard. But a lot of the times when I'm writing tracks or just demoing things, I don't need that. I don't need anything that big, and I don't need to go right back there. So having something that's right next to my computer, right in front of me as I'm typing and as I'm just brainstorming, is helpful. So let's take a brief look at this thing to see what's going on the surface. You have 2 touch bars here. This one is pitch, and you can see how the light goes up while I do it. And this is modulation, so it tracks what you're doing. So instead of the standard wheels that sometimes you have for these functions, these are touch bars, which I think is cool. And again, it's slick. You have a transport section, which is really helpful. So within your DAW or DAW, or however you want to say it, you have all these buttons down here. You have a stop button, play, fast forward, rewind, loop, record. And all you need to do there is assign those buttons to your software, and you'll be good to go. You'll be able to record right from here. You'll be able to play and stop and scroll through things without mousing everything, which is super helpful if you're trying to work fast. Now, I probably don't even have to say this, but as you know, this is a MIDI controller, meaning that it doesn't have any internal sounds. All the sounds need to be in your software. So if you have virtual instruments like a synthesizer, bass sound, drum sounds, whatever it is, you're going to be controlling them with this. And you can see that we have 8 velocity sensitive pads right here that you can assign to drums or percussion or even samples or even synthesizers if you want. It's really open-ended. Over on the top right of this thing, you'll see that we have 4 sliders and 4 knobs. These are like rolling knobs. And you can assign these parameters to any of your virtual instruments. So if you have oscillators, if you have effects, you can automate all that via anything. You just have to assign it. Obviously, you have the mini keys here, which, are playable. It's not too small to play. It's just a standard mini key. And they're all blacked out, making this thing look pretty cool too, and especially when it's illuminated. Now, as you can see back here, this is a USB-C cable coming out that was provided with the unit, and it's plugged into my laptop, and so it doesn't need any external power. It's completely powered by the USB. The keyboard itself does have some functionality that's interesting, and I'm going to show you right now. All right, so you can see that I have my headphones on. I've connected this keyboard to my DAW here, and I'm going to control a simple synthesizer just to show you a few things. Yeah, there's a pitch bend. Here's the modulation. So let me show you the arpeggiator now. This keyboard will output arpeggiated data, right? So let's see what that is. You just have to hold down this button and what you want it to do. So this is arp up, so arpeggiator up. Right? So there's different options too. We can do down. You get the idea there. Let's try up and down. You can change the note value too. Right now it's set to 16th notes. Let's make this quarter notes. You get the idea. Sorry, I had to take a quick break because my cat was meowing at the door again. If you've watched any reviews before, you'd know that this cat always meows to come in the room. Anyway, let's move on. This MIDI controller has a lot of options, and that's not unlike some other MIDI controllers. There's usually menus that you can get into and adjust how the MIDI messages are coming out, how they're mapped, and all these different things. And this is no different. It just depends on how deep you want to go. If you have a live situation where you're using maybe Ableton Live and you're doing a live set or something like that, it might differ slightly depending on what you're triggering with your pads and all those things. But a lot of it just has to do with setup. That's pretty much all it is. It's just how you're setting this thing up for what you want to do. So I'm not going to go that deep into the menus here because that's something that you can find out either via the manual or from other YouTube videos that may have explored that. Sorry, there's cat hair flying all over this place because my cat is shedding and he's right over here and he's going nuts and rubbing everywhere. So if you see random hairs flying across the screen or landing on my face, it's because of that. There is one feature I want to talk about here, and it's the scale feature on this. Basically, this keyboard will limit the notes to a particular scale, meaning that you won't be able to hit notes outside of that scale for a particular use, which could be beneficial for some people that don't have a lot of experience with harmonic things, and they want to make sure they hit the right notes, quote unquote. I wouldn't necessarily use this scale feature for my own productions, but that's because I like to have all the note options and I also know where they are on the keyboard. Therefore, I can skip the ones I want to skip. But for those of you who are less comfortable with harmony or the keyboard in general, you can use these scale features and just limit yourself to a certain amount of notes. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to switch to a blues scale and I'll show you what happens. So as you see here, no matter what I play, it'll only play the notes of a blues scale. And for the notes that aren't in the blues scale, it'll just double some of the other notes. So watch what happens if I play all chromatic keys from C to C. Right? So basically it's just playing these notes. But you don't have to play them all like that, right? You can actually be like, instead of that, this is actually an E flat, but this D will also be an E flat in this case, right? So you can't miss. Got it? Let's make a very off-the-cuff electronic track because that's what I'm feeling right now. Now, this is not going to be rehearsed. I haven't thought this out. I'm just going to try to do something in real time, assign some of these knobs or faders to things, and just see what comes out. Okay, I just loaded up an electronic kit here, and I'm going to make a simple beat. All right, perfect. Let me loop that in the software now. Okay, so maybe not my finest work, but I'm trying to do this quick for demonstration here. And let's pick a pad sound. I'm going to assign some things the same way, and let's play that. Let's try it now. Essentially, you want to make your MIDI controller a real expressive instrument rather than just pressing buttons on a pad. So it's good to map anything from this keyboard to your virtual instrument that'll help you get a more expressive take. Meaning that you might want an oscillator, you might want a filter, you might want some effects, modulation, anything, just so that your performance sounds more alive and less stale. And as far as the DM25 Pro goes, it's doing everything I want. It's sensitive enough for me. Mapping is easy, although a lot of that is done in the software for what I'm doing. The keys are a fine size for me, even though they're mini keys, especially for what this thing is supposed to be. And the reason that I like this controller is because it's so low profile. And obviously it looks nice, and it would be cool for live performance because it's glowing nice colors and all that stuff as well. But even for the desk, it's small. I can throw some ideas in super quick. I can play a bass line like I showed you. I can do anything I want to do. And it doesn't have to be electronic music. It can be anything you want. But it's nice to have a tiny controller here so they don't have to go to the piano for every little thing. And also I mapped my transport, like I showed you earlier, the play, the stop, the rewind, to my software. So it's making this process even easier of recording music. So to sum all this up, I think this unit goes for $89.99 as of the filming this video. And there might even be a coupon on top of that, bringing it down even lower. It's a no-brainer for me. This is a really cool thing to have in your studio, whether it be for your desk or something to travel with on the road and keep it super portable. I definitely recommend it, and I'll be using it here for future production stuff as well, because I always like different tools to have around to help me be expressive when creating music. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel because we need more subscribers. And also leave a comment if you have any questions or praise, or if you're just really mad about something, because that's always the best, just getting those comments. Anyway, see you next time. Thanks.